a young woman now.
Thank you. I've missed you so much. Ema Elizabeth, Abba Zechariah. I'd like to introduce you to my betrothed, Joseph.
Shalom. It's so good to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Congratulations, you two. May God bless your lives together.
Thank you, Red Zechariah. These are my brothers, Thomas, Isaac, and Daniel, and my sisters, Dinah and Rachel.
Glad to meet you. Shalom.
Hello.
Shalom.
Shalom, hello.
Welcome to our home. It's not much after we lost Ema and Abba last year, but we're together and content.
You must be exhausted after your long journey. Please come in and sit down.
It's such a long journey. And hilly. It took us 4 days to get here. But I had to come and congratulate my favorite cousin on her engagement. It's been too long, Mary.
Elizabeth is like a second mother to me. She basically raised me when my own Ema was on the sick bed and near death for a year. She taught me to always bring my cares to God and to hope in His goodness.
Remember that song? Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken.
That was beautiful. Can you teach it to us?
Cast your cares on the Lord.
Cast your cares on the Lord.
And He will sustain you.
And He will sustain you.
He will never let the righteous be shaken.
He will never let the righteous be shaken.
Well, it is a good thing that God can handle all of our cares. After our long journey here, I have many cares for Him to bear, and I'm not looking forward to that journey home. If only the road were flatter, it would be a pleasant journey. But instead, we had to go up a dune, and then down that dune, and then up another dune, and down that dune, and then up another dune, and down the dune.
Yes, it was an ordeal. But look, it's keeping you young and healthy. You need to be at your best for your upcoming service.
What upcoming service? What are you talking about, Elizabeth?
Are you going to tell them or am I?
Well, as many of you know, I am a Levite. And it just so happens that my priestly order is going to be on duty in the temple in 2 weeks. And I have been chosen to enter the sanctuary to burn incense in the presence of our God.
What?
This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Most priests are never chosen their whole lives. You must be favored by God, Zechariah.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. God has never favored me by answering my prayers for a son. You see, a man who's favored by God would have many sons to carry on his name, and yet we have not had the privilege of having a child to keep us awake at night. Although I do feel honored to enter the presence of our holy God. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord of hosts. My soul longs. Yes, it faints for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh, they sing for joy to the living God. For a day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere.
Maybe when you are so close to His presence in the sanctuary, He will hear your prayers and give you an answer.
But what is there to pray for? It's too late to pray for children. That ship has sailed.
Well, if you can climb up and down all those hills, you have enough energy to raise a child. But you're right. We are way too old.
You could pray for the arrival of the Messiah.
What's the Messiah?
The Messiah means chosen one. The Messiah is the one that the Lord has promised will rid us of our oppressors and will live forever in peace.
When we celebrate Passover tomorrow, what will we remember?
How God brought us out of slavery in Egypt. Was Moses the Messiah?
No, Moses died after he led the people to the Promised Land. And when we celebrate Purim, what do we remember?
How Esther saved our people from the wicked Haman killing us all? She wasn't the Messiah, was she?
No, Nick, she's dead too. Plus, she didn't even free our people. A bunch of them are still in exile in Persia.
You're right, Thomas, but don't call your brother the Nick.
Plus, now we're being oppressed by the Romans. The Messiah can't already come. We're not exactly living in eternal peace.
Yes, these examples are just foreshadows of the delivering peace the Messiah will bring. The prophets have fulfilled the coming of the Messiah many times. Remember what Abba taught us about the prophet Isaiah. Nevertheless, that time of darkness and despair will not go on forever.
The land of Zebulun and Naphtali will be humbled, but there will be a time in the future when Galilee of the nations,
Galilee, that's where we live.
yes, which lies on the road which runs between the Jordan and the sea, will be filled with glory.
People who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a land where death casts its shadow, a light will shine. You will enlarge the nation of Israel, and its people will rejoice. They will rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest.
And like warriors dividing the plunder, for you will break the yoke of their slavery and lift the heavy burden from their shoulders.
You will break the rod of the oppressor, just as you did when you destroyed the army of Midian.
What happened at Midian?
Don't you remember? Gideon and his army blew their trumpets and shouted, but then they didn't even have to fight because the Midianites killed each other, and then Gideon's army chased us down and killed them and cut off the king's heads and took their whole story.
Oh yeah.
Let's finish the prophecy. The boots of the warrior and the uniforms blood-stained by war will all be burned. They'll be fuel for the fire.
For to us a child was born, to us a son is given. The government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called
Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule.
fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity.
The zeal of the Lord of heaven's armies will make this happen. Death to the Roman oppressors! I mean, it said right there, a war with bloodstained uniforms before we have a peaceful government. I'm just waiting for the fairness and justice that will come when the Messiah has broken the rod of the oppressor.
What else did the prophets tell us about the Messiah?
I know another one from the prophet Isaiah.
Well done, Thomas. Let's hear it.
O Zion, messenger of good news, shout it from the mountaintops. Shout it louder, O Jerusalem. Shout and do not be afraid, for your God is coming. Yes, the sovereign Lord is coming in power. See, he brings his reward with him as he comes. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will carry the lambs in his arms, holding them close to his heart. He will gently lead the mother sheep with their young. Well, obviously he'll be a mighty warrior when annihilating our oppressors, and then he'll be gentle and loving with his own people.
The prophet Jeremiah says this, "For a time is coming, saith the Lord, when I will raise up a righteous branch from King David's line, and he will be a king who rules with wisdom, and he will do what is just and right throughout the land. And in that day, Judah will be saved, and Israel will live in safety."
Yes, that does sound like he will be gentle and good like David.
The prophet Micah said, "But you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, are only a small village among all of Judah. Yet a ruler of Israel will come from you on my behalf. And the people of Israel will be abandoned to their enemies until the woman in labor gives birth. Then at last his fellow countrymen will return from exile to their own land, and he will stand to lead his flock with the strength of the Lord and in his mighty name. Then his people will live there undisturbed, for he will be highly honored around the world, and he will be the source of peace.
Bethlehem, that's near where you live.
I know. That's what made me think of that prophecy. I wonder if I'll get to meet the Messiah. Maybe I'll pass him on my way home.
The prophecy said that Israel would be abandoned to their enemies until the woman in labor gives birth. Which women in labor? There have probably been millions of women in labor since this prophecy. That is a good question, Rachel.
Well, I for one hope it happens soon. Our people are bent to the point of breaking under the Romans. I just wish for my future children, our future children, to live in a land of peace. And I will do whatever I can to help make it so.
Well, Zechariah, there you go. Now you know what to pray for in the presence of God. Come everyone, there's much to do to prepare for Passover tomorrow.